Kozambola, I'm Chunizuk Selden, and you're watching Bhutan This Week. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King appoints new Secretary for Land Commission and Zondas for Thimphu and Pemagatsal. The central monastic body arrives in Punakha, their winter residence. And new education loan product formalities confuse applicants. His Majesty the King has appointed the new Secretary of the National Land Commission and the new Zondos for Pemagatsal and Thimphu Dzongkhags. His Majesty granted tha to the new appointees at the Tashi Chezong in Thimphu on Wednesday.
The new Secretary of the National Land Commission is Tsiring Gelson Panjo. He was previously serving as ambassador at the Royal Bhutanese Embassy in Brussels, Belgium. The new Zonda of Pemagatsal is Tashidawa. Prior to his new appointment, he was serving as the director of the Road Safety and Transport Authority. And Phupduji, who was the chief executive officer of the Bhutan Development Bank Limited, has been appointed as the Thimphu Zonda. Yisha Gelson, BBS News.
The central monastic body led by the Doji Lewe has moved to the winter residence from Tashi Chezong. The monk body arrived in Punakha on Thursday after staying the night at Tilega. They will reside in Punakha for 6 months. The National Assembly endorsed the government's proposal of fixing property taxes at a uniform rate of 0.1% on taxable value, despite some members expressing concerns over cascading effect of the imminent act on house rents. Some members of the opposition suggested reducing the rate by half or more.
When the new property taxes come into force, a landowner in Core Thimphu town along the northern Lum will have to pay around 26,000 ngutam for a 10 decimal plot as land tax. This is an increase by almost 12 times. The rate is 2,175 ngutam up until now. However, taxes will differ from place to place depending upon the minimum basic infrastructure provided, among others. Opposition members said starting at a lower rate would be better, as the proposed 0.1% would be hefty for taxpayers.
Gochubda pabdigibe te kadimchibe cha da lekor din ngabe 0.075% be te nangthapchi yubachin suigi samchar da te dudip sumchibe pido se shunil
donsep na beochindi lekor sa lekor nga beudi dato shungi bemeledi pshi ma phap beudi ti beochindi gadibe samga se.
The Finance Minister Namgit Singh said the tax rate of 0.1% on taxable value of properties is fixed after analyzing rates in developed and developing countries around the world. He also said the contribution of property tax to total tax revenue is only 0.26% as compared to 80 to 90% in some other countries.
International best practices Geminalu take its hejidi katelu jabachin, Sultan Midachka, Milu Dapsi Machapchi, Te Jungitarchu Bedi Beru, Dinalukangi, Matum Chikits hejidi Saudolu, Zambulina Senemi, Nacharagina, Lunchona Senemi, Nyungtadi, Te Lekur Sachi Jami, diletendi in sessionil. Ding Achigi sheet and city Jungi Gonsego Kebe Judalu, Tronsebda, Nachegi, Tomsogi Sago, se Eopchik of the Minu, se Gonsegra Eopchiti Bedanu, se.
Building taxes in rural areas will see a big concession. However, those in urban centers will see surge due to higher valuation and rental income. Members said this could lead to building owners increasing rent.
Dewa yubegi lede disogi ngachiragi chimgi khanladi teta dile yata zenigi membershina tetieta ngachira chejichibe zodigi jagobigi te shuwachi tensuchi tana phuin shuni
khangla khalu demi lache khalu demi That na Jungop, Shiop Senemindu, Tongba Senemindu, that Name Sami Gongse Celegi Asubachin, the Diletama de Bombertheon.
The Finance Minister said house owners wouldn't be able to increase rent to their liking, as higher rental income would mean higher taxes.
Lochinalu, Chimgi Khanladi, Chika Khanla Tantamginale, Wombo Kadem Chuinga, and the Chika Domdibe Baby Seshunila. The Chimgi Chodagi, Khanladi Sindibe Asudochbajin. Tegi sejidi ya sindra jung seshunila. Chimgi khaladi te kago kadebedi ya simisu se chidi ani seshunila. Tab chemdi ro chimchamigi joda disulu ikene meong se. Khora chimgi joda disugi lotargi wombobgi thedi tabegi namdudi nalu 디날로 ngache기 deductible expense 팝차기 때 람루디 주이 가라 란소기 바풍기 태기 날로 수디유 세슈닐라.
The House, after a lengthy deliberation over the last 2 days, endorsed new property tax rate at 0.1% of taxable value of properties as proposed by the government. The House also agreed to impose an additional charge of 15% on the amount of land tax if the land in urban areas remain vacant 2 years after urban services have been provided. The House will continue deliberations on remaining sections of the bill on Monday. For Kipchu, Pupke, PBS News.
Against the backdrop of rising prices for goods in the market, the Economic Affairs Minister was quizzed on the ministry's plan to control the price. The minister said people should limit their expenditures on unnecessary goods and focus only on necessities. The Karyurung's Member of Parliament raised the concern during the question-hour session in the National Assembly.
The ongoing discussion about pay hikes and taxes in the parliament reportedly increased the prices of commodities in the market. According to Karyurung MP Sringchodin, this has made lives hard for many people depending on a fixed paycheck. She says this is also one of the reasons youth are leaving the country. Responding to this, the Economic Affairs Minister said there is not much price hike for essentials, although non-essential goods are becoming expensive. The minister said people should avoid buying non-essential goods to see through the difficult times.
다레타마도 텐 인플레이션 디수 텐 배우다 뇨고미 잘라디 된 똑똑에 뇨고미 잘라 자통기 리두시디 뇨란 뇨고벨라 깝 골라디수란게 알로출루고 पेछतामी लोकजागी देन लुगो बेवाचिन न्योरा न्योगो बे जेन चाला देसुदि अचिची मान्य बे छमचेची बे जादारु ते दी इन्फ्लेशन लु नाम समे फेन्थों दी इन्फ्लेशन तब मदे मिथन से सुनि बेइला दी गोंसे यासिं माजुनी की देन थाबलमची दी से सुनि बेइला.
The minister also hinted at preparing for possible recessions in the country. He said saving money during the inflationary period will cope with recession. For Ngaung Tenzin, this is Pemal Harden, BBS News.
The government's plan to open 3 more entry points at Samdrujonkar, Samtsi and Gyelipu is expected to boost tourism in the eastern and southern districts. The foreign minister said this during the question-hour session at the National Assembly recently. The minister also highlighted several other plans and initiatives that can help promote tourism in those districts.
The western part of the country is perceived as a hotspot tourist destination. Foreign Minister Dr. Tandidoji says tourists visiting the eastern and the southern districts were minimal even in the past with the $65 sustainable development fee. He says tourists not traveling to these districts have become a trend. However, according to the minister, tourists are likely to visit these districts after opening the 3 new entry points. While Bhutan is fully prepared for this, he added the government is waiting for the Indian government to get ready. The government's plan to establish another international airport either in Mongar or Gyelipu is also expected to enhance tourism in the eastern and southern districts.
Sustainable hospitality industries inclusive of nature entrepreneurs semichi guchui se shunibi ani di zonka dindulu cho tendigibe te zodo se shunibi la.
The minister added it is a €2.3 million project to promote tourism in these districts. The districts are also encouraged to come up with the tourism developmental activities to attract tourists.
Tidachika UNDP ki khatule ngache jungdanamchi chika lalin thapsina dollars yupchi saya jida cha gebe michi te zamling rida semche gi lerim gi tholebe te ngachi zonka tashiyanche tashiga hunsi monga da shemga gi zonka nalu shute ni gi tenlu lerim leshachira zodo se shunibina te chora genkudi mapanga chira zonka sulu phobi se shunibi.
According to the minister, people should know that irrespective of the places tourists visit, the fees collected by the government from tourists will be used for the well-being of all citizens. In addition to the 3 new entry points, the government is also planning to open entry points at Nganglam, Banbang and Thamoitsingkha. Kilatim for PBS News.
The members of parliament will also be getting designated duty vehicles if the pay structure reform bill of Bhutan is passed by both the houses. The Economic and Finance Committee of the National Assembly proposed this recommendation, which the House passed on Wednesday.
The Pay Structure Reform Bill of Bhutan 2022 actually proposes that designated duty vehicle be entitled to possession level EX3 and above until reviewed and rationalized by the government. However, the Economic and Finance Committee proposed the same entitlement for all members of parliament. The deputy chairperson of the committee said if given duty vehicle, they will do away with all the allowances, including the 1 million yoltam MPs get to purchase vehicle.
다림기 대업기 트위치 도미디 동라 주담디에 도코도 시신일라 아직 같은 데베데베일 텔렌 디다치가 진종다 num기 튀디 동라 주담디에 같이 도코니베 데데베 속춘나 순리 조인 세신일라 텔렌 슝기 카톨레 데블치 같이 도서와진 답지고 도명일 좀 봄주담디에 다림구 팝디기베 데 다우레 동라 주를 합레베 데베 지잡디도
But a few members were against the recommendation. Some even questioned the sustainability of procuring duty vehicles for all 58 MPs.
다또 아지라 designated vehicle 개캅나루 할람 굽주디지 예배기 이메세 주닐라 다 같이 팀이 지속이 팀이주 다 제미 렘보기 고니 제미 촉벤다 티진 마티와베 배워진 다루 압주 nga geedichi te jungi gari nyogo bese junila te ngara katole beachindi mawongbalu te indian gadibe wonga ase.
The issue was raised today as well, and the opposition leader expressed his concerns about the cost of purchasing duty vehicles for all MPs. He said it will cost not less than 208 million yoltam to purchase vehicles for all MPs, which is more than 3 times the 1 million vehicle purchasing allowance.
람삼디 때 투미리로 붐주담레 짐바친 때 사치고 사양압중하게 멜라 다르게 데비즘 집에 마치게 거리지 뇨징 더집에 왔진 거리 뇨니게 들레라 때 거리 레레로 붐 섬처 소르베 시잡았진 거리 섬처 납중하게루라 사야 니자 게 조님의 슈니라.
However, some members still supported the committee's recommendation. They said the vehicle can be used for 10 to 15 years.
마바 세도디 팀지디 탱지 뇽고레 뇽베와신디 지용가에 미실라 데 뇽고르 디기 롱아기 된 레제니나 세와친 메세 슈닐라 롱우추 탐짱아 센세 주수스 슈닐라 데 지초 탱 숨숨데리 디기 차슈수 바신 데 제로데 데 지다 미치디 데 에와 레주메 제바신 데 조르테세 슈닝 알바 와신라.
The House adopted the recommendation with a show of hands. However, the members would not be getting driver allowance and fuel and maintenance allowance as per Section 31 and 32. Similarly, the lump sum amount of 1 million yoltam that MPs get for vehicle purchase, which the bill proposed would be given monthly on a prorated basis, is also revoked. As per the bill, the entitlement will be valid until the government reviews and rationalizes. Kiladim for PBS News.
With education loans now available in most commercial banks, hundreds of people wanting to study abroad have been flocking at the financial establishments. But it isn't all smooth sailings. The education loans, which have resumed as a revised product, has some new terms and conditions, such as the loan being divided into 2 schemes. And customers say this has been causing confusion and additional work.
The banks say they are receiving more than 100 applications every day. Currently, the Bank of Bhutan, Bhutan National Bank and Druk Punjab National Bank are providing the loan products. Inside the banks, people say there are a lot of formalities which is confusing everyone. The inconvenience gachi thoi na bachin the head office na ong go bela. So ani bada ngachi thari.
We have to come all the way to the head office. If the banks could open these services in the branch offices, it would help people like us. Since it has just started, there's a rush at the banks. They have mentioned to come to the head office, but updating the checklist in their websites would ease us to compile documents before proceeding.
All family members ki no objection letter go se.
There was a lot of confusion when we go to DRC and then try to obtain a document. They themselves don't know what kind of document we are looking for. Even we saw this one in the form, we went along with the BOB form and then saw them saying that number 8, what actually they are mentioning there. They themselves are in confusion and we are in lots of confusion, and then they happen to call to the BOB and then ask what actually BOB is going to, produce or want documents from the DRC. In the similar way, we are also even asked to produce the documents from NLC. I'm happy too also because government has played very vital role in order to push us to go abroad and then study. It's a good idea, but now I myself in a doubt whether how fast I'm going to get a loan.
The education loans are provided under 2 schemes, secured and unsecured. The banks give up to 3.5 million UTM under the unsecured scheme and 5 million UTM under the secured scheme. One does not need to provide collateral for the unsecured loan, but it is necessary under the secured scheme. Individuals aged 18 to 35 are eligible for the unsecured loan. The applicants have to submit documents, including a certificate from the National Land Commission, proving that the applicants and their family do not own land or properties worth more than 3.5 million UTM. The applicants also have to submit a tax clearance certificate, proving that the family's annual earning is less than 1 million UTM. The applicant should also submit a report from the Credit Information Bureau to confirm that they did not take loans from other financial institutes. Those who are ineligible for the unsecured scheme can take a secured loan. For this, they will have to submit a luktam or the land ownership certificate and the no objection certificate from the property owner. It will be kept as collateral until the loan is liquidated. According to the banks, the unsecured loans are meant for applicants who are not stable financially.
This is unique because it's not only about parking it and then blocking it. So we are going to issue the loan, park it in the CASA account, and then accordingly, if they require the disbursement, it's going to happen. In saying so, the requirements that we have placed, like the tax clearance certificate, the NLC clearance certificate, all these are required in order to make them, in order to classify them under unsecured.
So for both, the checklist of documents to be submitted is provided by RMA. We do not have any specific requirement that was designed by ourselves. So unsecured Behochin, we provide you with a loan of up to 35 lakhs. And for that, unsecured means you are not able to provide a collateral for that loan. So to prove that you do not have the collateral required by a bank, you have to bring 3 documents in total.
The Druk PNB provides education loans only under the secured scheme. The RMA issued a notification about a week ago announcing that education loans would resume under revised guidelines. The banks have, however, set varying interest rates for the same loan products. The BOB charges 8.5% interest for secured loan and 9.5% for the unsecured loan. BNBL provides unsecured loan at 10% interest rate and secured loan for 9%. Druk PNB provides unsecured loan at 10.5% interest and 9.5% for secured. For Krishna Gale, Snampem for BBS News.
Tourists trekking the mountains of Bhutan can expect themselves in the company of guides trained in medical care. Should there be any mishap or fatal accidents, their guides will be equipped to treat and care for them like healthcare workers. Rotary Club of Thimphu, with support from the Kesakebo University of Medical Sciences, trained close to 30 tour guides recently.
People are scattered all over the courtyard, some lying on yoga mats, while some observe the situation with concerned looks on their faces. It is a scene created by the tour guides undergoing first aid training at the Gesar-Gelpa University of Medical Sciences in Thimphu. They are trained to care for tourists during emergency situations, especially in remote areas where access to professional healthcare service is not possible. The chairman of the Guide Association of Bhutan said there were incidences where a few people had been injured and even died due to unpreparedness in such situations.
There were a few cases where people have actually succumbed to even injuries. Some people even died because of altitude sickness, and especially tourists. Few tourists have died. Even one or two trekking crews also have died. And then the other thing is that there were also a lot of injuries, where they have broken their leg, hand, and limbs, and the guides were not professionally trained to do splinting in those things.
The trainers said the comprehensive training, which is the first of its kind in Bhutan, is important for guides in the country given the rugged trekking trails.
We have done this kind of basic program, which is not purely for the guides, some generic kind of programs, but this time this is purely focused on tour guides, and it's much more intensive.
There are many times guides find themselves in situations where they're far away from roads, and there might not be helicopter weather, and there might not be any transport, and so having some knowledge on how to treat clients in those hours or sometimes days before they get to the hospital, I think is going to be very rewarding both for the guides and also increasing safety for their clients and tourists coming to Bhutan.
In the following months, the medical staff will be training the rest of the tourist guides as well. The course is supported by the Rotary Foundation, the Rotary Club of Honolulu Sunset, based in the US. For Tsiringdiki, Sunampem for PBS News.
An outbreak of African swine fever has been reported in Dewatangyog of Samdrup Jonkar. 11 pigs in a piggery in Gezur village reportedly died within 17 days. According to a livestock official, the owner of the piggery had brought all 15 of his pigs from Mongar and Sirang. However, they have not been able to ascertain the source. Meanwhile, to prevent further outbreak, officials have intensified monitoring and also cordoned off the outbreak area. African swine fever is a deadly and highly contagious viral swine disease that can affect both domestic and wild pigs. However, the disease does not affect humans. Following the recent incident where 10 detainees escaped from the detention center in Thimphu, the police say they will revisit and upgrade the security system in detention centers across the country. The plan includes installing sufficient CCTV cameras in detention centers, especially in Thimphu.
The police re-arrested all the 10 detainees who escaped from the Thimphu detention center. The re-arrest of the first detainee from Takti along the Thimphu-Phinsoling highway led to the re-arrest of other prisoners. There were 7 police personnel guarding the detention center that night. The detainees were arrested for drug trafficking, burglary, rape and voluntary manslaughter. According to the Deputy Chief of Police of the Crime and Operations Division, Colonel Pasang Doji, police are investigating the lapses, which will take at least 10 days. Police said all those who were involved in the escape plan will be dealt with according to the law. The Deputy Chief of Police assured that no such incident occurs in the future. Meanwhile, netizens raised concerns about the safety of the public, security lapses and relocation of the Thimphu Detention Center, among others. For Krishna Gale, Sringzam, PBS News.
That is all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.